Diving deep into shadows, uncovering the light. Guess with solid minds, no tales of the strange. In Sasquatch Secrets, they'll begin to rearrange. Truth's the vibe, we're on a quest. Look beyond the trees, what do you see? Factual stories redefining history. No myths, no magic, let's break the mold. With every word spoken, new wonders unfold. Footprints in the snow, not just a myth. Data and research will sift through the pith. Tales of a creature, but science leads the way. Nikki's quest for knowledge, come join and stay.
Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to another Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon. Thanks for coming. It's a great hot Sunday here in El Paso. The heat has finally hit us. I got into the truck yesterday and it said 108 in the cab. So we're going to have a hot one for sure. And I guess I'm ready. For it. It was cold for a really long time. I mean, we're in April. So anyway, it's good to see all you. Yes, finding the trackway. Bill says, I see Bigfooters. Yes, I see all of you guys in there. Sharon, thanks for always being here. And the Bat Mom's here. Mountain Man just jumped in. Heat wave here, 38 degrees. That's as cold as our winters get, is 38. Who else do we have? Henry, there's Henry. I was wondering if you were going to make it in. Relic Hominin. Good to see you. I know I saw Jonathan. There he is. He'll be back there in the background. I know Brian is listening on the road with Chewy, coming back from a little expedition he took. It'll be great to see what he's got to show us from that. And Sandra Piper and Jen's there, or Jen may be taking Baron out. I don't know, right? Last minute, he had to go to the bathroom. So I saw that, Jen. That's okay. That's okay. Who else we got? Lazy Cowboy, you staying awake? Thanks. I appreciate it for sure. I believe that's it. Sandra? Robert Dunduvan, he's way up there. I'm scrolling. I said Sharon, right? Yeah, I said Sharon. I love her picture. Oh, there's Sandra Piper. I don't think I said Sandra. So good to see everybody. Wanted to give a quick shout out. Let me fix that. There we go. And so today I invited a few guys, but it was a little bit late. And Tate, I'm just having a chill session today. It wasn't a solid produced show, where I was going to do just the one topic, but Tate wanted to come on and talk about Bluff Creek and some of the stuff he's doing. So I do have one of them in right now. So let's bring on my guest. If I can get over there. There we go.
No, there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes. I ain't making mistakes like that.
Hey, Ron Reed's back. How are you doing? Oh, you're muted for some reason.
How's that? There it is. I can hear it now. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'm a little sleepy and I'm missing a couple of steps just because I'm kind of making that transition back on those Sunday nights after working third shift. So, I might stumble a bit, But
that's how I felt last night. I jumped on with finding the trackway, and I had been up since 4 in the morning, and I could feel I was not talkative at all on Trackways Live because I was like I wanted to doze off for real. But Yeah, I understand that. That shift work is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on. And of course, you guys, if you saw my promo, I had question marks as everybody's face, and then I put their faces in there because I wasn't sure who would really be able to make it. Okay. Tate's on his way in. He'll be here soon, but he had to stuff his face with some food. And of course, Ron came in. Brent is out in the woods as well, working on a project. He might jump in a little bit later, maybe not if he's back. And I sent a invite to Glenn, Bigfoot Dwarf. So we'll see. He didn't get back to me, so I have a feeling he may be out. Now that the weather's finally changed and is getting better, it's going to be harder for me to find guests on Sunday because people are going to be out, out and about and looking for Squatch. So, but we'll deal with that. It's all good. Let me see. I thought I heard somebody message me. Oh no, that wasn't for that. So anyway, how many times have you been to Bluff Creek?
For me, okay, let me count them up because it's been, I think this was our fourth time in a row this past year. So we went in 2021 through 2024. I had been one additional time in 2018, and if you count like the bigger area of Northern California, like Willow Creek, then I've been like a total of 6 times to like the Six Rivers National Forest.
Oh wow, that's a lot. And I'm assuming it's probably around the same for Tate.
I think Tate has been a little bit more consistent over the years. Him and Jonathan and Glenn. I think those guys have been a couple more times than me. So I'm really like the baby in the group in terms of like our core group of friends, that have been. But I don't know. It's always an amazing place. There's just always something to learn. There's always a relevant lesson in nature and getting closer to the mystery ourselves. It's been I should probably just say it's my favorite place to go looking for Bigfoot. There's a lot of reasons for that.
One of my questions, and I'll ask you, is how does this area stand up to all the places you've been? Because I know you've trekked all over the U.S. How does this stand in that regards?
I think that it's probably the best area. I think in terms of like yields, in terms of like, does it check out with like my understanding of ecology and like, like that or the environmental aspect of, is this suitable habitat? Like, could there be something like Bigfoot out here? I think it's a very high contender in that regard.
Yeah.
And then I just think of like the iconic experiences that we've had. I think that the history of the area too, that the legacy of reports and footprint finds and the Patterson Gimlin film, I think like all of that makes it like super relevant for just Bigfoot in general. And then like those special experiences too that have been so rewarding and really highlights of like the adventures we've had in our life, so yeah, it's just there's no place like it.
Yeah, some awesome people, I'm sure, have attended all these events there in that area. And that, that's one of my main things of trying to get there this year, is because I know a lot of people that I have talked to for years, will be there. And it's quite a different experience when you get hands-on to, shake somebody's hand or give them a hug and say, hey, I appreciate you and what you do and how you do it. And so that would be, my number one takeaway would be, the actual fellowship part of that type of adventure. But man, Bluff Creek, that's like, I think what a lot of people put on the top of their list, where they want to go to and what they want to do. And for you and Tate to make the trek across the US, every year just to go there. That says a lot. It
Yeah.
says a lot on your determination and wanting to really know that that's a place where you feel you're going to get the most action.
Yeah, that's what he likes to put in his Sabe series, is that where they get the most action is like something I have to constantly narrate. but it's true. I mean, yeah, it's like it's but yeah, that's a little taterism right there that he likes to say that phrase too. Like,
That's good. I like that. It's really cool. Yeah. If you guys don't know, on Tate's videos, Ron narrates his stuff there, some of his stuff, and it's really great. You can find that on Tate Hieronymus' site. His channel is where you'll find search for Sabe, which I've listed before. I don't have it down there right now, but you should really go check that one out. I see Sean has joined the chat, something to Sasquatch about. Good to see you, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Well, I saw you the other day. Where did I see you? No, I can't think. Was it my show last week? Who else jumped in? Let's see. Lazy Cowboy. I said that already. All right. So, what was the question I was going to ask? I was going to ask, okay, knowing the PNG film and having that whole thing happen, or, what does that mean to you that you're in an area where the PNG film happened, and that there's possible Patty, family out there, or not I don't think Patty's around anymore, but what if her family's still out there, her babies or whatever, grown up now and doing their own thing out there. Things like that. Do you think about things like that?
yeah, I've had a lot of like reflection on that, and like even to the point where it's like, well, how long does a Bigfoot live, and could Patty still be out there? And like, yeah, I think I lean towards more what you believe too, that she's passed from this world, and her children might be around, but then there's always that little, well, what if though? What if there's like a really old like Squatch out there? But I think just in general, like in areas where such compelling evidence comes forth, like I've done my research, most of us have, on the Patterson Gimlin film, of like some of the complications of making a hoax of that caliber, and it just seems like so much like above all the other alleged evidence. We talked about bad evidence last week, right? And like it's just like that is just this high point in evidence collection, and a stunning moment in the history of this field for every researcher, every investigator, every Bigfoot enthusiast. Like, it, to know that happened there, and to know that such strong evidence that points much harder towards these creatures being living. It's like you're closer to that justification of why you're out there to begin with. You're closer to like that and in that sense, it feels like holy ground in some ways. Like, it's just, you're like,
Exactly. That's
there's
what
a
I
seriousness there
say.
when you're
It's
in
the
that
holy
spot.
ground. Is that where, it began, and where you want to have your biggest sighting, your face to face would be iconic, to be able to say, I saw a Bigfoot in Bluff Creek.
Yeah.
That would be a story above everybody's.
Yeah, I'm really holding out for a footprint there, like a good footprint. Like, we found a
Yeah.
trackway, and the tracks were a bit unclear. They were interesting. They were human-like, but
Yeah.
but we couldn't. It's one of those things we didn't know for certain. But like to find one and know for certain, to just look at it in the earth, I think would be like that experience for me. Like, yes, a sighting too, but like I'm something about I'm just fixed on finding a track at Bluff Creek, and
Right.
people still find them even relatively recently. Like, so
Right.
it's
yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because I saw what I feel was my first track at Mount St. Helens 2 years ago, and it's something, you know, you're like, whoa, okay, that really looks like a Bigfoot, you know.
Yeah.
And to have Thomas Steenberg there and having him, I see you down there, buddy. I'm gonna bring you on. Hold on. Let me bring Tate in, because, and then I'll finish my thought, because he wants in on this. There he is. Hey, Tate, welcome to the show.
Casually late.
Tate, I imagined you like a small yappy dog at a screen door, like, but outside the chat, like trying to get in, and like Nikki had to like open the door for you. Like, that was kind of the image in my mind just now.
I see it. I see it.
So in your mind, I'm a little yappy dog.
Absolutely.
Yep. Bark.
He does that for hours in the field every year.
So let me finish my thought right before we brought Tate on, and that was my first what could have potentially be a footprint, and seeing Thomas Steenberg there, who was laid out flat on the ground, in, you know, really looking at that and checking everything out and trying to research that print, looking for hair sample, looking for, you know, whatever he could find out of that. And I don't know if I still have that photo here or not, or if I took it off. Oh yeah, here I have one. Of course, you know, pictures don't show things very well, but this will always be one of my favorites, is seeing how he just plops down on the ground and starts doing his thing, you know, looking at the evidence, looking at what could potentially have been a footprint there. So that was, you know, a highlight. It was definitely a highlight, and even potential footprints later on too. So, but so we're talking about Bluff Creek, Tate, and what it means to you to be able to research Bluff Creek. How many times have you been there?
Man, if I had to count how many times I've been there, over 10. That's a safe answer. But I don't know, researching it means a lot to me. I'm sure, like, as Ron feels, it's a special place. It's the birthplace of Bigfoot in our modern day culture as we know it. So to be in an area that's kind of just put that on the map, and I mean, thinking about how popular that piece of film footage is, it's up there with the Zapruder film. So it's made its place in pop culture and in general, and in just in the cryptid world. So to be able to go out there and follow in some of the footsteps of people who are legit, researchers and stuff like that, it's pretty cool. It's an honor.
For sure. It would mean a lot. Wouldn't it mean the biggest thing if you were to have your in front of you sighting at Bluff Creek? Class A, 20 feet in front of you, Class A sighting right there at Bluff Creek. That would put you at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah. That would be huge.
You guys be interviewed across the internet. Everybody would want you on, because that would be big thing. It would be a really big thing because of that history.
Oh yeah. I think, not only would an encounter be amazing there, but to come out with a video from Bluff Creek,
Mhm.
something that's really clear, that would be huge as well.
Right. I think that would definitely be an area where you don't want to be walking out there without something on, without a camera going,
Yeah.
Like Trackway, he's got one on his head, he has one on his chest, he has, he has one in his hand. He's filming, and he's filming like 3 different things, aside from audio that he'll, do. So
It's funny. Ron single-handedly has more cameras than the Bluff Creek Project does at the film site. So I think we'll get the area pretty well covered on camera if one of us drops the ball on filming a handheld camera.
Yeah, last year we collected a cellular game camera 20 feet off the ground, and it was taking pictures for a whole year with solar power. So plan on doing that again, getting maybe 2 cameras out like there, one with cellular and then maybe a handful of offline game cameras and some strategic. Yeah, we've played with cameras for sure.
Oh yeah. I like Tristan's comment here, the question.
This here.
Yeah, that's it.
Memorable experience you both had at Bluff Creek? That I have listed here too. Good question.
Really? Great minds think alike. There's 2 that come to mind for me. What about you, Ron?
I think that one of your stories, like I'm thinking of it, if it's one of yours, like your favorite memory. So I'll let you tell that one, and I'll try to find one for me.
Should I tell both of them?
Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead, and then I might have like a couple of short little moments that were special, but yeah.
So for me, two of the best moments, it happened on the same trip. One is when it was our last night with everybody there. I mean, it was Alex and Eli that were leaving to go to Oregon, so we were all there. We had 2 sets of groups. There was a group of 4 people in a meadow that we stationed in, and then we had a road group walking up the road, and Ron was in that group. And it's kind of, I think, what the chain of events that happened, I think because the way they happened, things happened the way they did. That's the weird, I explained that very weird. I hope that somehow made sense.
It does. We all realize the chain of evidence that things have to happen in a certain way.
So we were in this Laird Meadow area, and we radioed to you, Ron, your guys' group, to have Stevie do a call. And then Stevie did a call, and then a few minutes later, Alex and I had something thrown at us. And it kind of startled us both a little bit. But for some reason, I wasn't afraid but I was excited too. It was weird. And then later that night, we had a knock come off from the same direction. So I was like, that's really interesting. And then I guess my favorite, most memorable experience was getting out to Bluff Creek that same trip. Me, Alex, and Eli were the first ones in there, and everybody was coming in later. I think like 2 days or the next day after. So we were driving in there, and then we stopped because Eli's driving this Toyota Corolla. It's like a small car that he had at the time, and I was worried about these sharp rocks, getting his tire, causing a flat. So we were getting out, moving these rocks, throwing them down the hill to our left, and it was hitting the bottom of the creek because we could hear them like splashing and hitting. Mm-hmm. And as we're doing that, Alex is like, "Hey, did you guys hear something?" And both Eli and I are like, "Nope, we didn't hear anything." And then Eli picks up a rock, throws it down the hill, and as the rock's going down the hill, Alex looks up and he's like, "Hey guys, get out of the way." And all these rocks start coming down at us. So Eli and I take cover behind my car, and Alex takes cover behind his No, he doesn't. He doesn't even take cover behind anything. He just runs the opposite direction. I forgot about that. So we were kind of just like sitting there debating, like, what just happened? I thought I saw eye signs, so I was trying to grab my FLIR, but I didn't see anything. And yeah, it was just a really weird experience. And thankfully, that was all on camera. And I don't know, it was really odd. And as we're looking up the hill, we hear something walking away in the bottom of the creek. And when my thought was like, man, that's really weird. And the more we thought about it, it just felt very coordinated. So I don't know what it was, but it was definitely the weirdest thing that's happened to me out there.
Wow. Thank you, Jay, so much. Love you, guy. And we got a question from Shattering Delusions. Thank you for the support. At Tate, how many types of Sasquatch in North America do you think there are? Also, Sasquatch are said to avoid digital cameras per Canman 411. I don't know who Canman is.
I don't know about the trail. I think that's still up for debate. Where people know. Yeah, if they avoid them for sure or not, I don't know. Ron, that's more like a you question, I would say.
Well, yeah, just to let you get back into the other part of that question. From my experience, like I like there's so many areas that are accessible and non-accessible, or like roadside or trail side. When we put our cameras out, like not everywhere is, I guess, monitored. So like if there's something like they can detect them and they actively avoid them, that seems to be like a common belief, to the point where it's like, I mean, we know other animals are capable of avoiding trail cameras, detecting them and staying clear. There's been research papers published on like coyotes and how like alpha ones specifically will avoid being seen on trail cameras. So I don't know like what's going on there, but like we just put them out there just in case that's not the case. And there's still plenty of ways to engage with whatever's out there, try to get some behavioral traits like on audio recording or something, or witness it within our research camps. Like, so it doesn't really, I feel like it's not like totally condemning to put a camera out there monitoring somewhere in the huge area. And our research areas were there for a week or 2 weeks at a time. So it's like very like expansive areas. So maybe we'll choose to monitor Laird Meadow this year, but then not have cameras there the next, or maybe we'll try and put it around, Onion Mountain or close to Louse Camp or up on a ridge that we had something happen 2 years ago. So we got like a lot of rangeability, like when we want to apply or not apply those types of capture methods. And we were just kind of trying it out, but I don't feel like it's hurting to put a couple out there when we do our investigations.
I don't think it hurts. I mean, trail cameras definitely have a use, especially if you have activity and you can't stay there longer than you want. You could leave a camera there, just on the off chance something does come by. But I think the best approach, I think you're more likely to get footage of one, on foot versus a stationary camera that's there for a long time. You're more likely to surprise a Sasquatch than a trail camera will. It's crazy. Animals can smell some weird things. They can smell batteries, oddly enough, and we don't know. I mean, no one can say for sure what the sense of smell is of a Sasquatch or hearing, but as with most animals, it's probably a lot better than what humans are. So who knows if they can smell them or hear them, and maybe that's why they avoid them. But it's all theories at this point until we have a body to scientifically say, oh, they avoid trail cameras and here's why, because they have some. We don't know that. Yeah. So like Ron said, it doesn't hurt to put cameras out there just to try and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's good to get like certain wildlife data too. Like if Bigfoot's on our brain and we don't encounter Bigfoot that year, it's still cool to take away pictures that confirm that deer were in the area and bear were in the area, right. Or like we got photo evidence on that cellular camera of a Humboldt martin, I believe, which is supposed to be like, they thought they were extinct. The Bluff Creek Project got some photos, and we're kind of confirming through our yearly investigations that population is doing well, and it's present, ever present within the Bluff Creek area. So like that type of wildlife data has value to me, has value to a lot of other people, especially when you're talking about animals that might have a relationship with Bigfoot. So when you better understand a heavy bear presence in the area, and you find tracks that you're a little bit sketchy of, you don't know if it's bear or if it's Bigfoot, the confirmation of those bear photos will like help you understand. Or if you think that Bigfoot is out there like ambushing and hunting deer for a source of protein, the presence of deer on trail camera is a good indicator that like, okay, well, maybe they're here like hunting. So like there's a little bit of like understanding that even if we get anything on trail cameras, that can help us build a narrative that will guide our research to hopefully finding more evidence on Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of leads into something I want to talk about later. But like you said, showing that a place has deer, that's good if it's another food source. You know, I think a lot of people take that kind of thing for granted, like kind of learning about what's in the area, you know, and trying to figure out what's still there and what's not there. Because it's not, you know, yeah, you can go out looking for Bigfoot just to have fun if you don't really want to take it too serious. But if you want to actually get at least some kind of result or something, you know, you have to kind of learn about the ecosystem and all that, what animals are there, the flora and fauna, learn about that kind of stuff, because that you know, all that does play a part in whether a Bigfoot is going to be there or not. And, you know, it's just like hunting. A lot of hunters have to know these things too. So where's the water sources, where's the berries, the time of year that, you know, at this elevation, all that's going to play a key, because if there's no food at higher elevation, you probably want to go down, you know, or vice versa.
So thanks to Patty Lindsay. Thank you so much. This is for you.
Whoa! Whoa!
And that goes also for Shattering Delusions out there. Thank you as well for the donation. Patty, did you get your package? Inquiring minds want to know. All right, we can go back.
There was another part of that question too, like archetypes, right? Like,
right. Yes. Oh, let me bring that back up again. It's just way up here. Yeah. How many different archetypes? What do you guys think? I mean, everybody can make speculations, right, on what they're doing, what kind are they, and how they look, and people say, well, there's some that looks more like apes, there's some that look more like people, there's some that are shorter and longer hair, some that are bigger and shorter hair, there's some that claim they have a little bit of canine snout type going on that people want to say could possibly be dog man.
Yeah,
and
I don't know about. I think there's only one type, and I think a lot of them they vary in height and weight, but generally, I think Patty is a good foundation of what I think Bigfoot looks like. I don't think they have elongated snout. That's like then you're kind of diving into a whole nother realm of, you know, morphism or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think on a global sense, we might be dealing with a couple of different species, because there's strong evidence for like orang pendek and things in some of the different parts of the world. But there's a clear distinction of the footprints and how they're found and the arrangement of the foot morphology between them and like the tracks we find in North America. And I think that some of those have like good credibility, like it looks like good finds, you know, like Meldrum and another established scientist will weigh in on them and value them. So I don't want to like write off like that, you know, North America is the one and only place. I want to acknowledge that there's a global phenomenon with possibly different species. But looking a little bit closer to answer the question a little more specifically about like how many types might be in North America, it might be for me like an offshoot of a subspecies, or like a different like local variant that has had some adaptive changes or has a different appearance. But I don't know if I would say that there's a different like type in North America. What other people are claiming with like some things that really look different, I don't know if that would fall in our umbrella of like Bigfoot or a primate, like, and I don't know if I want to go into like the dog man and like the type 3 or 4 variant like conversation. I'm not like up to spec on it. I don't know like the descriptive details of each type, but I would say like, I think that something like a skunk ape could be very similar, but like many generations removed from like the Pacific Northwest version. So you might have something that it's still the same species, but it's just almost like barely recognizable because it's been living in a swamp for generations and generations and generations of that offshoot. So
Right.
like
I think,
I wouldn't know like how far to go beyond with some of those other things, but like it sounds like to me like most of them are 5-toed like bipedal primates that maybe hunch over a little bit more in the southeast or are a little bit taller in the northwest. Like but still sounds like it could be the same like type of animal, same species. And I guess the last thing I would kind of add to that is I don't know, maybe I think I lost myself a little bit there, but yeah, I think it's like mostly just one species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of adaptations.
Yeah, a little bit. They adapt to their environments, hotter weather, less hair maybe. And is it I want to say Bergman. I can't remember, the theory that
It's the closer you get to the equator, the smaller the animals get. The further north you go, the bigger they are. Yeah.
that always seemed that's science, So
Well,
I guess
it's hotter. It's hotter further south.
It definitely is.
They don't need all that fur and fat to stay warm like you do further north.
You're very welcome, Patty. Patty says, "Thank you, Nikki, for the gift. I have never had an autograph or gotten giddy over a person, but having Thomas Steenberg's autograph sent to me was over the moon. I have some very famous friends, but nobody like Thomas Steenberg. I have to agree. That was pretty much a big highlight for me meeting him. Twice I've got to be with him. I stayed with him. I went out to his little areas. I went to work with him." So quite the experience, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. That map that I sent you of the area we squatched at, the Sasquatch Provincial Parkway park, and all along Harrison Hot Springs and the lake. That map was given a gift to us from Bill Finding the Trackway. And I had one extra that ended up coming home with me. So you got it. So I had to kind of trim the edges to fit in that envelope, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. It had everybody's signatures on it who made it to Sasquatch Shindig 2024. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. David Rosti says, dogs, it's called electronic storage detection. Dogs are trained to detect the chemical compounds used in electric components. Oh, they're having a side combo there.
Those side conversations are fun.
Yeah. Batmom says, but have you heard anyone say that with their face-to-face encounter that it looked like Patty?
I don't know if other than Bigfooters saying that, I think a lot of people don't know what the PG film is, and if they have an encounter, they're not going to have a reference to say, it looks like Patty from the Patterson Gimlin film. Only a Bigfooter would say that.
Yeah.
So, no.
Let me see. How funny that no one around the world is able to prove the existence of Bigfoot. other types. Looks like they're all elusive.
That's definitely a common attribute.
Yeah, and I mean maybe there's something about like fundamentally like rooted to what they are and how they behave that is like keeping us from being able to find them. That might be maybe if we're going to talk about behavioral adaptation and maybe even like evolution, right? Like is that the animals that like they might have formed an avoidance of man like to such a specific degree that that's why we can't find them, because that is a direct response and adaptation to like avoiding us, which maybe in their survival strategy is like the best way to survive.
Yeah. Let me catch up here. I'm a little behind. And it says trying not to pass your questions up today. So if you have your questions, put them in caps so I can find them a little bit easier. Let me move this. There we go. So great. Okay, so when your guys are out there, are you primarily going straight to the area? Have you guys gone to the local little towns around that area, Willow Creek, and talked to any witnesses?
No, a lot of the time, I mean, yeah, it's a really Bigfooty, touristy town, so a lot of Bigfooters come there. But I don't think a lot of people that actually go through there are Bigfooters. Or at least that we run into. A lot of people are either tweakers or people who work on farms, or just people driving through because they're coming from Redding to Eureka to see the redwoods, or vice versa. Because there's a popular lake not too far from Redding that people go to, so they're probably just traveling back and forth. And Willow Creek is just happens to be on the way through, so because it's just, I mean, we've been going out there how many times, Ron? And me longer. And July and October. I mean, July is one of the busiest times of the year. But if any Bigfooters in Willow Creek and they're going to try and go to the PG site, we'll probably see them because there's like generally one road in, one road out. I mean, so we don't see that many people there going up there, Bigfooters wise. So no,
so
we haven't
that's
really.
To another question then. Have you guys been out there in, say, Laird Meadow, and then other Bigfoot groups just end up showing up?
Not during like an investigation.
Yeah, like I think like what happens is, and I'm sure we were gonna get to this point at some point in the night, was like we've made this observation. This is like, I think Tate was the first to say this and has gone like on multiple shows kind of saying the same thing, is that like you go out there and some of the spots where tracks are found or where the film was filmed or where sightings had taken place, like over the years, like they become like museum exhibits, and it's like an outdoor like wilderness museum where you can go to like significant spots and say, well, a track was found here, and then like you look around and say, well, this looks like good habitat. Like, so it's like always like a rich experience, like where you stop along on these little highlights along the Bluff Creek area. And a lot of times we'll meet researchers in those areas, and then like during the day, and then like we'll team up with some people, we'll join forces, we'll do an investigation, or they will go out and monitor this side of the Six Rivers area, and we'll go several miles away out of earshot rather, and do our own investigations. And we like kind of like work together to make sure that we're not like overlapping and confusing one another. And one other thing from earlier, in terms of, to answer that question about talking to the local people, in some of my more independent adventures where I do something like, and then halfway through meet up with the Tate and the company, like I think before I even knew them, I was doing like my own investigations and talking to a few people in the museum, the China Flat Museum there with the Bigfoot collection in Willow Creek. I've talked to some people on the Hoopa Reservation about their experiences growing up. I did talk to the leader of the tribal EPA there about like the environment and different things of the area. And then also he kind of had some conversation, some commentary with me. One story that comes to mind from somebody that I talked to on the tribe was how they didn't really believe in a Bigfoot. They thought, they interpreted it as like a different belief, like they were big people or something like that. But their wife was from a different tribe in the area. She was, I believe, like Yurok. And she had an encounter, and like, even though that was outside of their cultural beliefs, like he like trusted and believed in like his wife's encounter, and like, so kind of like acknowledges that Bigfoot's real despite not being like heavily referenced in his corner of belief. So like, I don't know. That's just, I've had a few discussions and they've been kind of like thought provoking. But for the most part, we do kind of keep to ourselves in the research area. And if we kind of pick up on people that are going to stay the night and do some investigation, we do kind of approach them and kind of like talk out like our collective plan.
Well, I guess also to add, I guess if you're going to want to talk to anybody local or even tourists that might be not in Willow Creek specifically, but maybe Redding or Eureka or Fortuna or whatever. Generally every July there's Bigfoot days in Willow Creek. And so the Bluff Creek Project will rent out a little booth to sell books and stuff. And I haven't been able to make it there because I've been so busy with other things on trips, because I've had stuff pre-planned and everything. Because usually, you can ask Ron, we usually try and plan out a year ahead to make sure we got everything, because we don't want to get there and twiddling our thumbs. But the Bigfoot days, you could probably go there and to speak to hundreds of people, and some of them might have had encounters out in Willow Creek or Bluff Creek or wherever.
Shattering Delusions says, thoughts on Patty having a ponytail in the film. Now, I've never seen any of that. No ponytail, no braid in the hair, no hemorrhoids, no purse. Somebody, I think Lazy Cowboy.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Todd Gatewood or MK Davis hasn't floated that theory out there yet.
Let me see if I've got I was going to do this one here. These are the succession of photos that have come out. Okay, 67 is the truest photo, in my opinion, of Patty. Okay, and then after that, people started messing with it, and you know, they say, "Oh, I didn't use AI," but whatever program they're using, and they're using programs, it's filling in the answers. Okay, it's filling in the voids. So it's creating. That's AI. Yeah. That's the computer is changing shit.
I swear, the 67 photo, it looks like Popeye's like kind of like face he makes when he has the pipe in his mouth.
Yeah, his bottom jutting out a little bit.
Yeah, and it also looks like it's like Popeye mixed with the older guy from Up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got very round, bulbous nose. You know, round.
It's like old man looking.
Yeah, you know, and get off here. It just has changed, but nowhere have I seen feathers coming out. I've heard people saying that her hair's braided and all this stuff. No, none of that. None of that. For sure.
No, I think that there might be some like artifacts of the film, and like maybe in some of like the lower resolution or like reflections of it, maybe like just the fact that natural fur kind of goes in natural directions and isn't like, you know, like it just kind of gets patchy in some places, like or like it's not like combed over. So, and I think in some of those like bushier, unlike brushed areas of the coat, it might look like something like there's some type of shape or something that people could perceive as like a ponytail or a different thing on the coat or on the body, you know, like, but I don't think there's anything actually there besides hair.
Yeah,
you know, over a hide or skin of something, you know.
It's like the whole thing when like people are like, do you see the zipper on her back? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't delusions. I don't have the Patty footage uploaded right now to StreamYard, so I would have to share that. But what would be the point? Would you wanted to show us something or talk about something about that footage? PNG. Let me see if I can find a small one. A small. Oh God, that's not what I'm looking for. 34 seconds, but that's not showing. You want her walking away, right?
Yeah, I don't think she would. I don't think she would have like a ponytail. I mean, even like the really bad photos, her hair doesn't look long enough to do a ponytail. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, I think getting into a ponytail is a whole nother theory of different things. That it's. I mean, her having a ponytail or not isn't going to prove anything.
Right. Shattering Delusions. I highly recommend you go to Lazy Cowboy's channel and watch some of the recreations he's done. And yeah, for sure. Go to Lazy. Jen, can you drop Lazy Cowboy's channel for me, please?
My brother's freaking loud. Heard the words boat.
People that live in the area believe in Bigfoot as it is being just another animal. It's the way of life. Well, some people say they've seen it so much that it's not a big deal anymore. You know, it's just another animal or.
I don't buy those.
You do have a few skeptics every now and then. I think we've encountered a few in town that found out we were looking for Bigfoot and gave us an eye roll or something. But maybe they're just like tired of so many people going there and saying that in town. I don't know. Like,
that's another reason I don't like bothering people, because they probably get it more. Probably get it more all the time. Like, hey, have you guys seen Bigfoot? You know, they're probably like, you're the 13th person that's asked me that in like 2 months.
Well, what's the latest sighting there? Do you know of when the last sighting happened?
Latest sighting, I don't know. Latest or the biggest find would be Todd Samples and Doug Shea finding those snow tracks. Was it last year? I think it was last year, right? Early. No, 2020. Sorry, 2023. Yeah, it was early 2023. It was I want to say early June or like May or June, one of the 2 months, because we got there 3 months after or 2 months after, and saw those. And I don't know, they looked pretty good to me.
Are you aware of any Bigfoot activity or sightings? Oh, that's what I just said. That's twice, Tristan. We're thinking of the same questions.
Yeah, I would say it's been kind of quiet there. Like the last year we went later in the year. But like I feel like for like 3 years we had like a good streak of weird things happen. Some types of finds, like a trackway that looked good and hairs that looked like what people look for. And then it got a little bit quiet, I'd say, like on that 4th year. But I mean, that's natural. I think we were just lucky and our luck like temporarily ran out.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it, because obviously I do the whole series for my channel, but a lot of what you don't see, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen on film. We're not constantly filming, because regardless of what it looks like on camera, behind the scenes, we're actually like trying to figure out where these things might be. Okay, and after years of going there, we've kind of like noticed. Let's look at like the food sources, like what time of year the berries are good. Follow like the food sources, like berries. Where's the deer? You can find the deer, find the berries, find the water. That's all playing into your hand of having a better chance of finding something or having an encounter. So I'm kind of figuring that out, and then after we get that figured out, it's like higher elevation or lower elevation. Do we go to other spots that we've had potential luck in the past? We might drive out there during the day and check it out and see if there's any food like berries or something in the area, because that's going to be the easiest to find before you find a deer or something.
Yeah.
And it's good to see like those areas in the daytime too, because you might see something kind of on the edge of a field or like off the beaten path, but still visible, like where vegetation was disturbed and there was animal activity. And it's good to do our day reconnaissance so that we can look and see what sign might be around and whether that's Bigfoot or just animals, like that helps us build our strategy while we're out there. But yeah, like that's a lot goes into like those little surveys that we do.
Mm-hmm. Right. Patty is asking, there is a place in Redding, Turtle Pond or something like that. My son said he saw something there. Not sure what it was, but it was not a bear.
I mean, the whole area up there is good. I mean, kind of once you get out of Redding into the mountains, it gets really lonely out there. There's a lot of forest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you get out to Redding and whether you go, like north or west or south from there, like there's plenty of national forest and squatchy areas. So it's like Redding's a good like pin on the map that like pretty much from there, any direction you go, there's some good potential. Like the city itself probably wouldn't see one downtown, but like once you get out there, like those mountains that surround Redding are all kind of known for being Bigfoot country.
Well, you're not too far from Shasta either, to the east either. So there's a lot of good areas out there.
Yeah, people sleep on the high Sierras, and like the Mount Lassen area, and like there's just because Bluff Creek is right there, and everyone goes there if they've made that journey. But like there's we've talked about doing like a south of Bluff Creek or a little bit outside of Bluff Creek investigation in the past, and I mean maybe one day we'll get around to doing that.
How close is the Sierra Sound site?
Oh, that's like further south.
Way further south, right? But I don't know. I was just looking because if I do this trip out there, I was actually thinking of on the way home to make a stop in the Sierras for a couple of nights while I'm coming.
Which way would you be coming from?
I would be coming down off from Redding down to like Bakersfield.
Wait, towards Bakersfield?
Right? Isn't it towards Bakersfield?
So Bluff Creek no, Bakersfield's way too far south.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the direction.
Oh, like, okay.
To go home, I'm going to go 40 instead of doing 10 all the way to LA and then shooting up. I want to avoid LA like a heart completely. I don't want to go through there. So I'm going to go visit my dad in Arizona, and then I'll go up because then I'm just an hour away from 40, and I'll hit 40 and go all the way down to Kingman and then shoot up that way.
If you drive really early through LA or kind of around 10 o'clock at night, you'll get through traffic. I lived in Ventura for 4 years, and I drove to LA a lot.
Oh, well, I lived in LA for 4 years, but
so you know how it is. It sucks.
Yeah, I want to avoid it. I'm especially if I go, I'm trying to find somebody to go with me so that I can share the drive time. But if I don't want to be anywhere near there, by myself.
But I think where the Sierra Sounds is further north of LA. It's like further northeast.
Yeah. But coming down, I'll have a whole day or night, to stay somewhere.
Go where those are.
And, and I won't even have to set up the tent because my truck, I have the system where I can put the bed in the back seat. So I want to set a tent up at the site, Laird or wherever we're at there. But coming back, I don't even have to set anything up. I can just crash in the back, parks and crash.
The nice thing is about Bluff Creek, what I like is it is kind of tricky to get into. There's been many times on trips somebody's gotten a flat tire or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Ron.
Yeah, I lost the whole car out there.
Okay. I have a pretty big truck, so very big.
There's a lot of people that and like this year, I don't think it's going to be any different. There's going to be quite a few people out there, and for me personally, I don't like staying in a big group of people for too long because I kind of want to be isolated and see if something comes in. So there's going to be a lot of places to go to, and even if we stay in Laos Camp, there's always cars caravanning to different spots that we usually try and hit up and stuff. Yeah. But we'll try and focus. We'll always have a group discussion after scouting and be like, okay, where should we go and do our night investigation tonight? And all of us will put our minds together and just be like, this is a good spot. We'll go here. And that's how we do it. And as far as getting audio out there, the only audio I got was from something throwing that thing at Alex and I, and then I got a wood knock at a place we call the cell site a few years ago. It was 2022, I think. 2021.
That was what I thought was one of your favorite memories was going to be, was the up there playing your bass on the amp, and then like pausing and then getting a response of a knock.
It was definitely cool, but the other ones were definitely my top favorite.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool, like just to kind of see like both your reaction and how special that was for you, but then like just also like, because that was like a spur of the moment, like we're gonna try something different. Maybe instead of doing whoops and wood knocks, we're gonna play a bass.
Yeah, I brought his and was jamming up there. I brought a whole amp out there. It was like a giant amp, and then I had a bass, and I played it as loud as I could. And you guys,
late
Damon,
night concert for the Bigfoot.
Yeah, so I was like thinking, there's been Robert has played his flute there, and they got some weird stuff happen. And historically speaking, in Bigfoot, music has played a little bit of a role in getting responses. And then also you think of the drumming for Bigfoot music. Let's try it out, and sure enough, it worked.
Wow. Do you feel like the Bluff Creek area is safe for someone that solo hikes or camps?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just be smart, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't think that like the Bigfoot present much danger. But that being said, I know that people go missing in the area, but I think that there are other reasons why those people are going missing. Like I think solo camping, like you said, be prepared, like be on, your guard. Don't, like there's like weirdos will go out there every now and then. Wild animals are out there, and if you make a situation too opportunistic for them and present yourself as prey by acting foolish, well, you might become one for a mountain lion or something like that. It's a real area. It's not like Disney World where everything is kind of sculpted around you so you can feel secure. So it's about as safe as the wild and unpredictable world, in its own unique, like wilderness flavor. But I mean, we've known of people that like people doing solo investigations and things not go great for them, or like having personal tragedy. Like that's why we try to go with our groups or get half of the group together if we go at a different time, because like we can back each other up. Like Tate's pulled me out of being stuck with my car with a winch on his Jeep, and we've given rides to people like who have like
gotten
broken
flat
down
tires,
out there or gotten flat tires, like to get what they need to get back on the road. Like it's like I can do a lot of solo camping throughout the places I've been, outside the country, inside the country, and take those risks. But like Bluff Creek is probably the area where I think the hardest about going alone. And like it'd be cool to go there and like have it all to yourself and know that there's no interfering. But I would like almost always decline that, just because the incidentals, like each 6 years, like we get a reminder of like, this is why you're careful. This is why you plan things, because had you not, it would have been worse very quickly, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like every year we've got like we've all narrowly avoided something. So like if you're just getting into the Bigfoot world, like don't go to Bluff Creek alone. Like go with the right people.
Didn't one year we nicknamed our trip like the close call trip or something?
Yeah. Yeah. And that ended it ended in like Southern California with an earthquake and a hurricane happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like, yeah.
But there were forest fires and thunderstorms and like
we were camping in the redwoods and we were seeing lightning and thunder and everything.
Yeah.
And we were like, dude, it's
was that the BC-19 year or was that the year before?
I don't think it was the BC-19. There might have been.
Yeah, but that itself was a close call. Like
I think that started it. But it was just kind of weird. And like Ron said, obviously definitely think about going to Bluff Creek, go prepared. Yeah, it's not a place you want to go in by yourself. But as far as like hiking and camping or solo hiking, if you're comfortable doing that in like the woods outdoors already, that's good. Yeah. I think the biggest underlying issue is don't go in places around Bluff Creek that you don't know, is because it's not more so the animals, it's more of the people. And there is a lot of pot farms out there. And I don't know if you were with me, Ron, but Glenn and I were driving from Bluff Creek to go into town, and we were talking, and he's like, oh yeah, there's all kinds of what do you call them? Cartels out here. There's like the Mexican cartels. There's like the Asian there's all kinds of cartels out there of different nationalities. And like, dude,
they have little mountains out there you cannot go to.
Some of my investigations have kind of like, I've asked certain people in the environmental field, and some of their studies have been like, well, we know that there's pesticides that we don't use in the US, like that come from a specific place in the world. And that's kind of, like there's stuff like that, like that kind of build a narrative that there is a presence of human danger out there. And now they do stay away from the popular campgrounds, and then sometimes not like the places where I guess they can't grow stuff. So within the Bigfoot community, like we can still explore a lot of areas, but every time we look at the map and say, I haven't been there in a while, I don't think anybody else has been, we ask ourselves, well, should we be, in case somebody else is there?
I like to think I know I like to think I know the area fairly well. That being said, there's other people that know the area better than I do, and so I don't like going to an area unless somebody who knows the area better than me shows it first.
Yeah, if you're going to go alone, like ask the right people, and that includes even the rangers, because they're not going to recommend that you camp somewhere where the cartels have set up shop. So
yes,
like they'll be your like guides, and just like, I guess, go from there is kind of the mentality, is like, be cautious and have your sense about you. And if something does happen bad, like think carefully.
Yeah. I will say, if anybody does go to like Louse Camp, if they make it to Louse Camp and they're there's a lot of area that you can explore that's actually really safe, and we do it every year. So it's not like you're confined to a small bubble. No, there's thousands of acres of forest that we've explored, from Louse Camp to No-Go Valley to pretty much the Go Road. So there's a lot. And I saw Tristan he asked if if you can get an e-bike down there. Short answer is nope.
I mean, I tried last year, and I'll probably try again this year, and I had a few things like happen with it. Like it was like some of the rockiness of the roads were rough on it. I honestly think it was user error because I didn't tighten all my stuff down, like when I pulled it out of the car and I didn't realize it was loose. I'm testing that out. So last year's data says I would think twice, but maybe this year I'll try again and it'll work a little smoother. But it is nice to be able to just take a quiet e-bike along those roads, have a little less gravel noise, and actually be able to look at those ridges. And I think there's a lot of potential in that. E-bikes could be the right way to go about doing what's known as a non-linear wildlife survey, and even applying that type of survey in the context of Bigfoot is just anything that's non-linear is you're just following a winding trail or road and attempting to do wood knocks or calls or just observe. Those e-bikes are great for that, and actually that's what environmental field technicians, what they really promote the idea of using a bike as opposed to a vehicle with its own noise and interference. And you can cover more ground than if you're on foot within the same time frame. So e-bikes have great potential.
Horseback riding, you're going in on something different, and you can get further,
Yeah.
But Shattering Delusions, that's a great topic there. We won't cover it tonight, but I'll write it down and I'll see if there's enough information for me to do a show on that, okay? Thank you. That Hieronymus, what? That Hieronymus guy is sketchy. Alex says he's way too short to have played Patty. That's funny.
That's my uncle, guys. Be careful what you say.
Blake from Lost Cryptids Conservatory says, what do you think the Bigfoot are doing in the area in winter? Where do they
is Bluff Creek? I think they go down in elevation because generally, unless it's a bad winter, you don't get a lot of snow over there. I would always get messages from Steven Strufert when he was living in Willow Creek saying, "Oh, dude, look at all this snow." But yeah, if it's a really bad winter, you don't really get too much. So, but even regardless of that, like any animal, they're not going to be up higher in elevation where it's colder. They're going to come down.
Yeah, I think the presence of snow makes it so much more taxing to be up there. So most animals kind of move down from those higher elevations when snow is present, because then they're up high, there's less oxygen, they're fighting the snow drifts, and it's just better for a lot of animals to gravitate down to the valley. And with the prey moving down to where it's warmer and easier to survive, the predators follow. So I've been told by people in the field that mountain lions will go down when the winter is present and there's the presence of snow, and there's more food there for the prey, for the predators. And I wouldn't know why Bigfoot would just stay up there. And I don't think that they would go into full hibernation, or something like some type of brumation method, like a bear would. So I believe that they would be down there by the valley. And in the fall, as the weather starts to change and those conditions kind of force them down in the valley, you also have some salmon runs in some of the rivers and streams down there in the valleys. So I think there's food down there in addition to it just being more temperate. And where they go specifically, I'm not sure. That's why I think one of the things we want to achieve is maybe a river trip via raft or something, and investigate from those waterways around the fall when salmon are present, the weather's changing, and Bigfoot might be moving.
Yeah. To touch on two things there, I don't know. There's a lot of people who don't think the redwoods are great. I like the redwoods. Personally, I really don't like it when it's a full moon or even a half moon because it's just too bright. I like to kind of work in the darkness. And the redwoods are great for that because it's really dark. And Actually, there's a little quick story I'll add after this. So I think maybe in the wintertime they might go to the coastal redwoods where there is no snow, but it's going to be cold no matter what. So, but I think a lot of animals might migrate over there too. They're not going to have a lot of tourists going through the redwoods in the wintertime like you would in the summer. So I think for human traffic, it's not going to be as bad or busy. So I think the redwoods could be a good, viable place to get out of that rocky, mountainous area. It's pretty harsh in the summer, let alone the winter. Probably be very barren.
Right.
And Ron was talking about the salmon run. So for those who don't know, in '64 that was the flood. Bluff Creek used to drain into the Klamath further down south, like towards Willow Creek. Where Bluff Creek drains into now is because it was caused by the '64 flood. And so because of that, the way the creek is, we hiked that creek, Ron and I did. And there's boulders the size of cars in some areas. So salmon can't get up into Bluff Creek anymore. So there's no more salmon run up there. So I think that's why we've been focusing on berries and where the deer are and other small animals, because in the Bluff Creek drainage, that's going to be the best food source and not salmon.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you would agree with that, Ron, or not. But
yeah. Just to add to that real quickly, I really think that the history of Bigfoot in Bluff Creek, specifically along the creek, and the rich sightings prior to '64, leading up to the Patterson-Gimlin film, I think that it was the presence of that salmon that like made it a hotbed of activity. And maybe there's still stuff in the area because it's so rich with other food resources, but maybe after the salmon stopped running in '64, like there was a little bit more of that post heyday where Patterson could film something along Bluff Creek, but maybe some of that has changed now over the last 50, 60 years. And I kind of wonder, like, now the presence of salmon, like, are they going to be a little less frequented in that area? Now that like maybe over generations, they're acknowledging that there's maybe better food elsewhere. I don't know. That's me like thinking like way ahead of like what we are, like what we know versus like it's really just loose speculation. But like I wonder if what made Bluff Creek initially famous like is now changed because the things that brought them there are no longer available.
right.
And now they're kind of just spreading out and trying to find other things or maybe linger a bit. But ultimately, if maybe a large number of the former population has found other outlets for salmon and are now in those areas.
Yeah, because there's more than one creek in there. I mean, they'll probably just valley hop and go to different creeks that might have salmon. But, you know, salmon run only happens a certain time of year. So it's, you know, if you're going to see bear, that'd probably be a good time to go is during the salmon run up there. But, and then the whole redwoods thing, going back to that, it's funny, you know how like the Bigfooters, the things they say is like just don't even go looking for Bigfoot, just stay in camp, do camp things, and sometimes something will happen. And I think Ron and I we were leaving Bluff Creek area, we were trying to find a place in the redwoods to stay at, and so we went to one place and we like made lunch. I don't know, it was like what 11 or 12 at this time at night, something like that. We made food. It's pitch black out there. It's super dark. You turn your light off, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. So we got done eating. We're just kind of packing up. I think Ron, you're already in your car, getting into your car, and I was just standing out in the back, just having a beer, just enjoying the night. Lights are off. Then we hear this loud crashing sound, like that came from the river area, or at least towards that direction. And there was not a breath of wind that whole day or that whole night there. And so I can't say it was Bigfoot, but it was funny because I was like, Ron, dude, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Bart Catino and Robert Leiderman's tree destruction video that they got in the redwoods. So I don't know. Did something just happen to fall and we heard it? Or was it Bigfoot related. Regardless what it was a really cool thing to experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I was going to ask now. Grasshopper. Yeah. Well, I'm trying. Tate extended an invitation to me and Brent to go to Bluff Creek this summer. So I think Brent's all in already. I can't make that decision till around June, but I'm really wanting to make that happen. I mean,
Tristan, I believe, is in too, right? Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're going to try to do this summer. But I want to drive because I want my shit. It's hard to do these things and travel, and then I don't have my tent. I don't have my favorite cot. I don't have, my stuff. I'm borrowing, and I appreciate everybody who loans me all the camping gear whenever I travel, but there's nothing like having your own gear with you when you go to places. So
10,000%.
you guys know that because you're traveling from
all the time. Tristan had asked something. He asked, what states or places have you yet to investigate that you're planning on going to in the near future? States. Well, definitely want to delve into more of Washington. Because Ron and I were just talking about this like a week ago, a few days ago. Like, we want to go up to the Olympics real bad. Go up there and see that area. I would like to do more stuff around Idaho because there's some good areas out there where Jonathan easily lives, and he's always out there all the time. Trying to think of where else I really want to go to. Definitely,
I know.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, Washington, like going back and revisiting Washington for me personally, like the Mount St. Helens area. I've had some interesting happen when I just passed through like a couple of nights there. But we like to go back on our like circuit of Bluff Creek and Mount Hood area. Like we've had some promising things happen in those two locations, and they're kind of close together, relatively speaking. But there's a lot of potential in Washington, like Tate was saying, the Olympics, like Alaska. I want to get back up into Alaska, and try some lingering research attempts that we didn't get to apply when I was with Alex and Eli, for their Small Town Monster, Bigfoot Beyond the Trail episodes. But like Canada, really, I want to go back to places in Western Canada, and I want to like check out the Canadian Rockies. And
Harrison Hot Springs would be cool.
Yeah, you should go. We should go, Tate.
Well, I mean, I can kind of talk about it now. We're still in the planning stages of it, but Ron and I, we planned this forever ago, and everything fell through. But we've been trying. We're going out. Our plan is to go to Snellgrove Lake next year in 2025 or 2026. So we're in the development of some stuff for that. So everybody, stay tuned to Nikki's channel for sure if you want to have updates on that.
Yeah. If you ever do make it up there to Harrison, let me know, because I'll hook you up with Brad Trent, and he will take you on an amazing bushwhacking in his Hummer, in his Humvee.
As long as there's a Pabst Blue Ribbon in the Humvee, I'm okay with that.
I don't know about that one, but it's pretty amazing. Let me see. What do I plan on returning to Mount St. Helens? I'd love to go back to Mount St. Helens. It was, it was a beautiful, beautiful area. I think we were there at a bad time. Yes, I had something weird happen the last night, but it happened the last night and then we left. But there wasn't any food, and we've been talking about that all night. There were no berries. There were no animals. It was very barren for July when we were there. So I don't know, if I would do that same spot again or change it up, but that spot was amazing and I felt fairly safe there until the last night. But of course, all the weapons were gone and all the bear spray was gone and, all the trail cameras were down. And yeah, of course, that's when stuff hit the fan. So, but yeah, it's always an opportunity there.
Ron, you never said what your favorite moment or Bigfoot or on Bigfoot related happened in Bluff Creek.
I think just the one that comes to mind just in like that is just like a consistent within a 24-hour period is when my dog Bandit, like we were walking up the trail with some people from Texas that were seeing the area for the first time, and Bandit, I guess a couple people reported wood knocks, and Bandit got very like terrified along the trail outside of camp and was hiding in the bushes and like not wanting to come down the mountain like back to camp. And like I had to use it was Jonathan's belt.
I had
to use his belt to like as a makeshift leash because Bandit's like off leash and very respondent. Like I had him for such a long time and he was like very well behaved, and like for him to be like that was weird, and I had to like pull him down like on a leash because he was like just not wanting to go down. He was like digging his heels in and like making me drag him. And we finally got past the bridge and into camp, and he was like relaxed after that. But like while we're documenting it and explaining it, like Alex has his camera rolling for his series, and he picks up what sounds like a whoop on it, and it sounded really good, and I didn't hear it. I don't think most people registered it in that moment, but like when he played back the video, it was there. And like it was just like Bandit had like chilled after that, but like it was very like stressful for him in that kind of combined with the wood knocks, combined with everything else, like with the whoop and everything. It was very, very like unusual, and it felt like something was there that night. And then what a lot of people don't know is like, because it's not documented in any of these films, is the next morning I heard 2 isolated wood knocks while after a few people had left camp and a few people were waking up. There were like a couple of knocks, like about 30 minutes even like apart, like in the morning, and it would just a knock and then 30 minutes later another isolated knock. And I didn't record it or anything. I was unprepared. I was like laying in bed. But I was able to like verify like, okay, it happened, and we're like it's been a half hour since the last one, like. But that I think just that whole little spiel, that whole like chain of events from the start with the knocks and the dog and then kind of concluding with that was like, okay. And that was like right in Louse camp after one of the longest like ongoing investigations of like tenured Bigfoot researchers, like really putting a lot of effort in the area. Like that was kind of the first trip that we had that started this like 4th, 5th year in a row endeavor. So like we think that we might have gotten a strong reaction from something that wasn't totally conditioned to ongoing effort, because a lot of people had lost confidence in the area and its ability to deliver evidence. And so like when we went in despite all of this and was like, yeah, maybe we'll dig something up, like then something like seemed to respond with like a lot of activity that was like, yeah, we're here, like what you know.
It's so hard. It's so hard because like there's so many places we can go to and we probably should go to, but at the same time it's like we've had so much invested in the trips out there, and it's like it would suck not to go one year just because and then that'd be the year when something nuts happens, so it's like it's this itch. It's like, man, I want to be a part of something if it happens,
right? There, you want to say you've been there that year, Has anybody gone into the woods for Sasquatch sighting using only oil lanterns with flashlights on hand for emergencies?
Nobody that I know personally has done that. Nor do I know. I don't know what purpose that would serve, and how dangerous that might be if you tripped and the thing broke.
What I would say is like, if you're able to do it, if you're able to plan it, it's worth trying. Like if your idea is that maybe LED lights and bright spotlights are alarming to them and they're just like, they go into like, nope, they're onto us, and then they like get out, like if you want to try a dimmer camp with firelight, I mean, obviously don't put yourself in an unsafe like predicament. Like, make sure you're not tripping over stuff and you can navigate accordingly. A lot of moonlight would also maybe help you see things without having to blind everything in the area. But like, I think that could be a unique little direction of experimental research to see if you're exclusively firelit within your camp, maybe they'll want to approach it. Like, I think that's, you might be onto something with that idea. I would try it, I would go for it if you're doing your own investigations in the field. And heck, maybe at some point we'll do like a blackout camp, where we're only using fire to just like see if more happens in that dim setting.
I think, didn't we do that actually at Beans Camp, Ron?
I think we tried to avoid like specific types of lights.
Yeah. I remember we did one. We were there 2 nights. First night we had fire, and then the second night I don't think we did. I can't remember.
Yeah, like fire and maybe like red light on headlamps.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And it's funny because like trying different research methods. Something I really like trying to do is not doing the norm. Like, yeah, it's okay to do wood knocks. I don't have anything against it or whatever, or whoops, but everybody does that. And that's why you're like playing the bass at the cell site. That's what nobody's doing that, Let's watch a movie in camp somewhere, and just do that. Maybe that'll bring something in. Let's try call blasting, baby crying sounds or whatever.
Oh my God, I did that for the first time last October when I was up on the mountain over here, and that has got to be the freakiest thing to hear in the dark.
It's weird.
Loud ass baby crying, and then you go to dead silence. Talk about chills running up and down your spine, because you're like, oh my God, if something responds to this, it's gonna freak me out.
What's really cool is like where Laos Camp is. There's 2 areas we could do call blasting from. There's you walk up the road, maybe less than a mile from Camp Ron. There's like that really big open area that looks into the valleys.
Yeah.
There's that one spot. And then where the rock slide that happened with me and Alex and Eli, Ron and I hiked up there and we put a trail camera up. But right there, it kind of goes off into the valley and into the creek area. So you could do call blasting from there. So for call blasting, there's some good areas in Bluff Creek that you can do that at. So just doing things out of the norm.
That idea though of like the baby crying though, like we've done that before, and it is it's like it's freaky to hear the sound of an infant in distress somewhere in the wilderness like that. Like a primal thing awakens in you, like there's a predator that's gotten the child. Like I think something like takes over your mind a little bit, and you start entertaining like dangers that we don't think about, like when we're in the recesses of our own homes and the safety of our society. Like, but then also like just the idea, like I think we make this joke every time somebody makes the attempt with this, is like, what if you attract a mountain lion that just, a baby in distress, that's an easy lunch for me, like
yeah.
I guess that's like how mountain lions sound when they talk. I don't know.
They sound like the Blues Brothers or something.
Yeah.
It would be thinking it's an easy lunch until it saw like a group of 50 people.
Yeah. Because we do sit down and camp out and wait for something sometimes in our little groups.
I wonder what would happen if you call blasted on loop the whole commercial. It's like, I've fallen and I can't get up. Just replay that over and over. See if something happens. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Did you see what David wrote?
Yeah.
He was 6 hours from Snell Grove.
Oh, dang. He knows that area pretty well then, I'm sure.
Yeah, that might be good to
contact him.
Check out some of the access areas and stuff.
Anybody who knows the area? Do they still own that property? Do they you still have an inn there?
That'd be sweet. An inn at Snow Grove, that'd be awesome.
Right? Anywhere around it. It doesn't have to be that exact location.
Right.
You know, anywhere in, you know, around there is like gonna be prime.
Yeah, that's what. Well, the other thing too, we want to do Snow Grove, but we also want to. The Sabe comes from the Manitoba, Canada area, and so we were wanting to do some investigation up there, and then maybe talk to some of the natives, the local natives up there, and kind of get more of a grander picture of what Sabe really means and the origin of it and stuff like that.
That's a good question. David, did you have an experience there? Too much to talk about. Well, David, you're going to have to come on the show and tell us about your experiences on at Snow Grove.
Yeah, that would be cool to do. Like as maybe as our own investigation gets a little bit more concrete in the future.
A little prequel. You can have it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, I finally caught up to chat, man. I was like way behind. 6:38. But it's been great. I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges to go to Bluff Creek?
Oh man, we could probably name off a few.
For me,
about all the things that almost happened.
Yeah. For me, it's navigation. It's like, because I can go out there with my understanding of like wildlife, as limited as it is, and kind of know how to get around the dangers of rattlesnakes and mountain lions and like all that stuff, but I think the navigation, like the fact that there's a fire ecology in the area that constantly changes the accuracy of roads on map systems like Google Maps. Like you come out to a lot of dead ends. Those roads might still be active, but they might like receive a lot of damage from erosion. So you get to a point where you can't like proceed any further, or nobody's been up there in
or
like
trees on the
months.
way.
So, yeah. So like for me, I sustained a lot of damage to a vehicle because of a rock that had dislodged itself and like caught the underbelly of my vehicle. But there's a lot of different like potential road hazards that can happen, and if you don't like in your mind know that every bend could present a new danger and you don't proceed with caution, you can end up in a very bad situation very quickly. But yeah, like in terms of the research itself, I think the challenge is there's so many variables, like the presence of multiple berry seasons and berry species, the presence of other animals that could be competitors with Bigfoot, like bear, that might discourage them from being at different places at different times, just if we're both trying to navigate around each other. There's the inclusion of like natural disasters and stuff that could like change up their behavior, like the fires we talked a lot about, like, and how that also plays a part in like whether or not Bigfoot would be in its usual haunts because burnings are happening. And just knowing not to get in yourself in an unsafe situation with fires and kind of watching that carefully is something that we dedicate a lot of time to doing. But then also just the 70 plus years of consistent Bigfoot research makes them probably some of the most aware Bigfoot to try and trick into getting evidence of.
I've always been saying that too. I agree.
Like they've got to be like avoiding areas that are natural traps for leaving tracks. They could be like avoiding like a wood knock instead of other places that might get closer and kind of show their presence a little bit more, like in the wider area, like they might just be desensitized to wood knocks and attempted whoops and calls by people. Like they probably have, it's a mixture of they know to be extra cautious around researchers and also can are not interested anymore, because they know that it's like a human routine. So that's why we try to shake it up and get their curiosity by being unconventional at times, or trying new things like deploying trail cameras that we can monitor on cell cam with like with a cellular service, or something that I've thought about this year. I'm going to try to invest in is maybe long-term audio, since maybe just having a mic going will catch a lot more wood knocks or vocalizations when we finally collect it. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, just how do you engage with the world's most elusive of Bigfoot, because they've had to survive the gauntlet of really talented researchers for so long.
Yeah, and I think that's another, besides playing bass and watching movies, another thing we try and do is like we have raves out in the woods. So Ron brings this like laser light show, and we'll play like the loudspeaker in camp, and for us, we'll enjoy it. And we'll just kind of just do that for a little bit, maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then stop and then see if something.
Yeah, we always try to counter it with like quiet time in case it was too much.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like they're like engaging in supernatural
witchcraft.
Like, I'm not going down there,
Yeah, and so we try to make the camp as friendly. We try not to yell at each other. So we don't want to show
up a few times for sure.
Yeah. Ron, dude, no, Ron, it's over here. I told you the cheese is in the ice cooler. No, nothing like that. I think challenges, navigation is pretty tough. It can be. Just making sure you have good tires. I think that's the biggest thing, because especially if you're out there alone, man, you get a flat tire, you don't have a spare, you're walking out. And up there, if you leave a car there for too long, it will get caught up at.
Is that I know how to change a tire on both my cars, but my truck, I can't even lift the tire. It's just they're too big. They're too big. And
well, that's the nice thing. Like,
everybody, I couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be good, because if you go with people, there's a ton of people out there, and
it always helps. If it's a go for me, then I'm sure Brent and everybody will make sure I'm okay. So, they'll meet up with me. I'll probably drive in with somebody.
And there is a few areas with cell service there that you can get cell service at. So, I think I could probably count on one hand how many places in the areas that we always go to we get cell service. So for people listening, or people who do plan to go to Bluff Creek, just because you can get cell service out there, just because there's a paved road that does take you most of the way to these areas, it's still a very wild area. I mean, one little mistake could be from a fun trip into a disaster. I mean, it's funny. I say, for someone who doesn't know the area, I think for us, like Ron and I ended up in that situation, I think we wouldn't freak out as much since we know where we're at.
Yeah.
And we probably, okay, I know where I'm at, and I know how frequent this road is traveled, and I know where I have to be.
I just wanted to touch on that, like that statement you said too about like it being like a wild area, like to put that in a frame of reference, like based off of like what I understand is, I've spent a lot of time going to like national parks, a lot of times doing long distance hiking trails or portions of them. I've done the entire Appalachian Trail. I've like spent like 6 months of like out in the field, like in 1 year, and like gone out on these different like endeavors and explored wildlife management areas, national forests, like everything. That's like been my bread and butter in a Bigfoot context as part of the research, and then outside of it, just I'm an outdoors guy, and like, if I'm not outdoors enough, I'm not doing well as a person. So I've been out there in a lot of different circumstances, but Bluff Creek in the Six Rivers National Forest and a lot of those areas in that Pacific Northwest, they are so wild. Like Bluff Creek I have looked up and seen more stars than I will ever see anywhere else that I've currently been to in 30 something years of this earth. Like, maybe there's a more wild place out there, I just haven't seen it yet. Like, I have never seen a night sky so vibrant with stars that I didn't know were there, because the skies were never that clear. Like, that's how wild it is. That I know that like between that and the wildlife and just like the presence of like untamed nature, like that kind of like puts Bluff Creek on a whole nother level of wild and unpredictable. And you do start to feel like you've gone back in time when you get there. Like you're in the life of your ancestors before modernization of human beings. Like it's weird. But that it's spectacular as well. It's like it could be uncertain and it can be nerve-wracking, but we keep going back because we've found the excitement in that.
Yeah, to give another little experience here, just also find out if you have any allergic reactions to things for people who go out there. Because here's a story: we were out there with a buddy that I met over Facebook, and he came out and camped with us, and I think that day we were hiking around. And he ended up getting stung by a bee. And he had a pretty bad allergic reaction. He was sending me like pictures. He's like, dude, should I go to the hospital? I'm like, yeah, go to the doctor right now and check that out. Turns out he was allergic to bees and could have went into like some kind of like septic shock or whatever it is, whatever the term is.
Yeah.
So, because of that incident, he now found out he's allergic to bees, and now he's going to be carrying an EpiPen with him anywhere he goes in the woods. So, and he was with a group of people. Imagine if he was alone and got a flat tire out there. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it'd almost be good for anybody with or without a known allergy just to have an EpiPen.
Yeah.
Especially like with our group, like somebody should have one, because if somebody gets stung and didn't know that they were allergic to that specific type of sting, like maybe like, because there's even scorpions out there, small little scorpions.
I've seen them in louse camp before.
Yeah. So if one of those gets you and it's a little bit different and you have a different reaction than a wasp or a bee that you don't have much of a reaction to, like it would be nice for like upon that discovery, somebody in their Jeep or something has an EpiPen. So
yeah, 100%.
Well, now I got to think about asking the doctor for one.
I'm wondering if somebody in our camp will have one for something
Maybe
like that in a first aid kit.
Probably. I mean, I agree with this 100%. What Les says, you can trust your guide, but don't rely on your guide. I would say you could trust other people might have it, but you want to be for sure. Bring it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I tend to bring too much crap though. For sure.
I've over the years, I've really nailed it down to what I usually bring and don't bring. So, I'm pretty stoked about that.
He still needs to bring his own audio recorder though.
I don't know. I leave that to somebody who has more patience than I do.
It's like on the flip side, I have to bring too much as an eventuality for. We've made fun of how like disorganized I am, but I often have like gear if somebody forgets theirs, like, and I can like provide extra audio or something like that.
We tease Ron a lot because like Jonathan and our cars will be clean, our beds are made right there, and then Ron's like fumbling through. He's like, dude, I can't find this. Like maybe it's under your bed.
But then we'll carpool over like 15 miles across 6 rivers and realize that like we've got 2 audio recorders and I brought them both. So
oh man. Well, thank you guys for coming on. And any other questions out there? We're going to be bringing the show to an end here pretty soon. So if you have any last questions for the guys, please be sure to put that in there right now. Now's the time.
No personal questions, please.
I'm really hoping that I get to pull this off and get out there with you guys. So I'm not a huge hiker anymore. I can't do that anymore. I can go like an hour in and an hour back out. And I just want to see the PNG. That's my number one thing, is just to be able to make it there. And then I will cook my heart out for you guys.
You know what you got to do, Nikki? When Well, Tristan, our next investigation is Bluff Creek, at least for me. But Nikki, you should, instead of hiking down there and then hiking back out, hike down there and camp at the film site. It's worth it. And if we can get a few people to do it, I'll do it again. I think Jonathan wants to do it. I know a couple of people want to go up to Scorpion, which is just above.
Yeah, that's what I want to do is look at a confluence of a couple of different creeks and see if there's a different riparian habitat and different plants for them to eat, and maybe they're hanging out just up the creek.
So, yeah, it's a cool experience. Like camping at the film site was really cool. It's funny. Like if you go there, Nikki, you'll probably say the same thing. When Alex and Eli and I were all there, I mean, Ron and I have been saying this before Alex and Eli we met them, but it was weird because you drive into Louse Camp, right? You can drive into Louse Camp, drive out, it's easy. But for some reason, it's so freaking creepy there. Like
Louse?
during the day, especially more at night, it's really weird. Like there is a vibe there, 100%. But And we all said the same thing. And then when we hiked down to the film site, you have to park and hike down a mile, and then you're way down there. You can't just drive out if it's an emergency. Yep. But what we realized is like, man, the film site's not scary. It doesn't have that vibe like Louse Camp does. So I don't know, some weird stuff. I guess the natives used to use it for like a hunting camp, and it had something to do with ceremonies too.
Oh wow!
And
it's got ghosts.
It was weird.
Spirit
weird
area.
Stuff.
Yeah, I'm game for that too. I mean, whatever happens, right? As long as I can capture it on video. What does he say? Tate Ron Winnia's coming up to the Whitehall Squatch Festival in Whitehall. You guys should come up.
I'm not sure.
That's September 20. Oh, sure, it's in my other book.
Yeah, I'm always broke. I'm able to work hard enough to save up a whole month for research, and generally I have to make a whole month count for content stuff. So I'm trying to film as much as I can, and that's why I do a whole month. So save up the whole for like a good part of the year, then go out there and then recuperate, and do it all again next year.
Yeah, I do want to comment like the Whitehall area and the Adirondacks, like for Bigfoot potential. I was out there once. I think it was either in 2021 or 2022. Interesting spot, really like captivating, like unique habitat. I think that there's got to be some Bigfoot out that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like I really want to like revisit that area, and if that festival happens every year, I don't know if I'll make it this year, but if it's in that September time span when the leaves are starting to change out there, and it's like various food sources become available, like that's a great time to go out and do the research, I think. Like, so I feel like that might be something I would want to go and do, be at the right place at the right time. And
I was thinking about going to, Whitehall this year, but I don't think Jen and Bill are going to be there this year. So if they're not there, I have another opportunity coming up in Virginia on that same day, on the 27th, for the Blue Ridge Bigfoot Festival, or is it conference? I don't know but so I might do that. But if I do that, I'm just going to fly in and rent a car and stuff and do that one.
Like for me, there's just so many areas, like even in California, that I want to go to that I haven't been to, that would take a month to do, if you're doing filming and research. Like I've never been to Shasta, and I've been going up to Bluff Creek since 2015, and that's a lot of times to pass that area.
Right.
I've never been there. I've never been to the Sierras. I've never been to Bart's thermal sighting area before, or Ron Moorhead never been there before. So, there's places.
I want to too. I want to camp somewhere within, I don't know. I know you have to do those areas, but I'm talking about a campsite, 20, 30 miles from there. There's got to be a site where it's an actual campsite somewhere near there.
We're near where? The Sierra?
Yeah. Because it's plastered with campsites. But I don't know the exact area because I haven't done my research yet on exact, what the coordinates are. I don't even know if that's out there. I don't know if that's all still a secret or if, anybody has the coordinates of the Sierra Sounds. I know there's people who can take you there, but
I don't know where it's at either.
Hit me an email at harrymanhoaxes@gmail.com. And so I can start checking that out.
It's really funny because we get spoiled at Bluff Creek because it's way in the middle of nowhere and it's all free. And so it's funny. You go to like other places, you're like, man, we have to pay for what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Kind of get a little spoiled.
Yeah, I have 2 different spots I like to go to up in the Sacramento Mountains in New Mexico, and one of them's a pay site, and it's like $30 a night, or you got to pay for firewood, and you have to pay for everything. But it's a beautiful site, and because it's on top of the mountains at 9,000 feet, you get cell service up there.
Yeah,
so it's a cool spot, and it's got toilets up there. It's got the vault toilets. But my other area, it's in the mountain, and just to get up in there, it's like rocky, super rocky, and the truck just fits on this road. And one side's a drop off and the other side's the mountain. So you're not going anywhere. And the scariest part of the whole thing is if somebody's coming in the other direction, what do you do? Who goes up the side of the mountain a little bit to let the other person go by? That's the scariest part of that whole thing.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that area where I researched that. It was like where I got my thermal footage. The road up there is pretty gnarly. And so like anytime I'm in Southern California for a period of time, I found at least 4 good spots that I would always hit up when I lived there. And I like them. They're unique areas.
You are welcome, David, and keep in touch. If you want to come on, you just let me know. Shoot me an email, and that's at harrymanhoaxes.
Yeah, David, my email is just my first and last name, Tate Hieronymus, all one word, no caps, @gmail. So you can contact me there.
Yep. So that's great, everybody. I think that's a show at 7:00. You guys are going to be heading back over to Squatch DTV. I think he's got something going on tonight. So again, thank you, Ron and Tate. That was a pretty good conversation. I really enjoyed it. It's got me a little excited. I really want to make this happen. So anyway, you guys, thank you all for being here. Bye.